What kind of conversations do you think these seven birds are having? They're definitely having a meeting, right? Because there's one, two, three, four, five, six, and seven birds just sitting here. And they're quite obviously counting the total number of birds are present. And they're very upset because there are seven birds and not six and not eight. So what I think they're doing is deciding to randomly exclude one bird out of the flock because budgies apparently only do well in even numbers, and they exclude their own kind when the number is odd. That is what people on social media and online bird communities will have you convinced of. I'm Rashu and I'm an aviculturist and I breed Budgerigars and I show them competitively. And I want to talk about this really hot topic of odd versus even numbered birds in a flock. I see this quite often coming up in discussions where people will say you can only have even number of birds, so 2, 4, 6, 8. If there's an odd numbered bird in your flock, then someone's going to get left out. It really assumes the fact that these birds, as intelligent as they are, they're sitting and having a meeting and they're counting the number of population in their cage or enclosure, and they're thinking, I don't like Sally because she's ugly, so I'm going to throw her out of my flock, and then we'll have even numbered flock, right? So we don't like Sally because we have 7 birds instead of 6 or 8, and to neutralize that, we're going to throw one of them out because we do not want to be friends with Sally. But if we had another bird join the flock, then Sally would be okay. And to be a little serious, I understand where this notion comes from. People assume that these birds are monogamous and they pair up and they want to have a relationship and they want to romanticize that thought, that idea that these birds will only pair up one male, one female, or just couple up being gay, whatever, and they're just happy doing that. Social order in Budgerigars is far more complex, and I think people don't give them enough credit. This is Raven. He's one of my very outgoing birds, and now he is socializing with his boyfriend, Salt. But a little while ago, he was playing around with his father and his cousin and his half-sister, and that's what they do, man. Parrots in general, they maintain multiple relationships like people. Like we don't just like people, we don't, have a crowd of friends and we decide, well, we want to be an even number of buddies and then we're going to exclude someone if they don't fit into that mathematical formula. It just doesn't happen, guys. I'm going to burst some of your bubbles right now because these birds, they are not monogamous. I know that sounds really romantic for them to have one partner for life, but these birds will have multiple mates, sexual mates, throughout their lifetime, even simultaneous. One of my females in my aviary, she will mate with 3 to 4 different cocks at the same time, and they will take turns with her, and it's okay. Every once in a while, I'll come across a comment that will say, if you have 3 birds, you gotta have a 4th. If you have 5 birds, you gotta have a 6th, or someone is gonna be left out, someone's not gonna be happy, someone's gonna feel isolated, and they're gonna be depressed. In my personal opinion, I think 4 Budgerigars in a flock is a really sweet spot to get started. Because with 4 personalities, 4 individuals, your birds will have multiple partners to socialize with, and that will give 1 or 2 of them a much needed break when they want to withdraw from socialization. Let's face it, like people, even these birds, they don't want to be around the same bird the whole time. We all need a little time alone sometimes. If you've got birds that are in odd numbers, chances are everyone's going to get along swimmingly. Just like Mr. Raven now, he sandwiched himself between other birds, while the others have not really switched positions because they don't really have to. And that is the most normal thing, my friends. And to dive into a little more complexity of things, a flock is an individual, a living, sentient being that they will accept as a part of their family. And sometimes humans, like me and you, we are part of their flock. So if you've got 2 birds and you think adding a third will break that dynamic somehow and the third bird will get excluded, think about the fact that you are the third in the flock already, and if they're already getting used to you, they're friendly with you, then they're kind of working with that odd number that you're so afraid of. I would not worry. If you've got 3 birds, if you've got 5 birds, you don't need to upgrade. I mean, it's great to have bigger flocks. I love big flock of budgies. I've got over 50 of them myself, and I understand that is not something everyone can afford or enjoy or manage. And you don't really have to. I've been raising this species for about 20 years now, and I've been breeding them for quite some time. I've seen just about everything they can show me, and I've learned a lot from them. I've got multiple flocks categorized by the kind of birds they are, their show quality, the features that I like, etc. I organize my flocks based on different criteria. Sometimes the personality will factor in because not all birds are going to get along. Just like people, 2 birds may not be socially compatible, and it's okay for them to, stay apart from one another and form relationships with other birds in the community. Oftentimes when people get even number of birds and they feel like one bird is being excluded, it's probably because there is some social incompatibility being a factor at play here, not the fact that their numbers are not a coin flip. To really appreciate these animals, we have to understand that they are their own individuals with their own preferences, their social preferences, their tastes in food, and their partners, and the other birds they will socialize with. You may have one bird like Raven who gets along with everybody. That you may have a bird like Winter who's more reclusive, who prefers two other birds in the flock. Humans are so much similar to these birds. It's really that simple. And when I'm breeding these birds, I'm switching up the pairs, so they're breeding with different mates throughout their life cycle. So it's not like they're going to pick just one bird to be their forever mate and stick with it. That just does not happen. I promise you, they're not having a meeting deciding to exclude Sally from the flock because she's the number 7 in it. Sally's a hypothetical bird. I don't actually have one, but I don't want to, throw any of mine under the bus. Even though I kind of actually did. So if Sally is someone they can like, they can enjoy socializing with, they're socially compatible with, there is no reason for them to exclude Sally from their flock. They're not having a meeting about which birds they're going to throw away and pair up with. Sometimes they're going to pair up with more than 2 birds simultaneously, so it'll be a throuple situation. I don't know what you call them after there's a 4th, I guess polyamorous? Budgies are polyamorous. Like I said, my Oksana, she's mating with her partner, her son, and her other son, and another bird at the same time. So she's up to like 4 partners sometimes. I guess that's an even number. But no, she's the 5th. So that's an odd number right there. Next time you see someone saying that one must have an even number of birds in a flock, just think about this analogy I just shared with you. Sally is not going to be thrown out of a flock just because she's number 7 and not number 6 or number 8. And even if you were to give Sally a friend to create an even number flock of 8, Sally may not get along with your number 8. She may prefer number 4, and number 4 may not prefer Sally because she's ugly. But it's got nothing to do with the fact that the number is odd or even. I always like to be mindful of the fact that not a lot of people making these comments actually have any experience with these birds to the degree to where they will actually understand and have the observations that I do. So I try to be kind about it in my approach when I'm talking about it. The reality is, if you've only ever had 1 or 2 birds at most of your life at a time, you're really not in a position to make that objective call about how they would behave in a larger flock situation, because that's not something you're probably used to seeing, and that's okay. You don't know. But that also means that you have to be more cognizant of what you're telling people, of what kind of information you're sharing. Because if in your experience you've only had 2 birds at a time, and maybe you've gotten a 3rd one, and the 3rd one didn't actually fit in with your flock, and you're using that example to pass that off as a fact that, hey, my 3rd bird did not mesh well with my existing flock because it was the 3rd wheel, well, you're not really doing yourself any favors, and you're excluding the possibility, the most likely possibility, that your 3rd bird is just not socially compatible with the other 2 flocks that already exist. There's no guarantee if you go up to 4 birds or 6 or 8, they're all going to get along swimmingly. Most likely cases that they will, but there's always an odd one out who does not want to be friends with anyone because they're too uptight. And that's okay. But guys, this odd versus even number thing, y'all gotta let this go. I really want this myth to die down. I've been reading about this for the last 15 years online, and it tends to gain traction every once in a while, but that's just not been my experience. That has not been the experience of any other aviculturist I know, or any of the breeders who breed these birds professionally, and they will all tell you the same thing. We will generally have mixes of odd and even numbered of birds, and everyone tends to do just fine. But at minimum, you should really have 2 budgies, because humans are not an adequate substitute for the kind of relationship they need. But 4 is the sweet spot. 4 is my recommendation. You should plan 4, because then you will really see them come out of their shell more, and they'll have more birds to socialize with when someone else wants to be reclusive for a little while. And, it works out really well. Now, all 7 are very quiet, not wanting to do anything with one another. They're just looking out the window because it's a very beautiful day, but no one's objectively, obviously excluded. They're all friends, just hanging out together. And that is the most normal thing you will see in an aviary.